The legendary President Ronald Reagan once said, "Inflation is as violent as a mugger, as frightening as an armed robber, and as deadly as a hitman." Well, he is dropping truth bombs like it's hot. And guess what, folks? It seems like that fiery mugger is back in town, and this time, it's got a real appetite for chaos. Remember 2 years ago, when the big shot at the Federal Reserve System lowered interest rates faster than a hot knife through butter? They told us, don't sweat it, folks. Inflation's just hanging out at a cozy 2.4% as if that number meant anything to our wallets. Well, guess what? If you've stepped out of your bubble lately, you might have noticed that prices have taken a trip to crazy town. And I'm not just talking about the ritzy stuff like mansions and shares in tech companies. Nope, everyday items have hiked their prices too. In fact, the Consumer Prices Index shot up like a rocket at a theme park, hitting a whopping 5% annual rate in May. That's higher than a giraffe's top hat. It's the steepest incline we've seen since way back in 2008. But before you start hiding your piggy bank under the mattress, hold on tight. Inflation is not just about draining your bank account, it's also sprinkling a little magic dust onto the economy. Now, here's the million-dollar question. Can you really turn this inflation monster into a friendly cash cow? The answer, a resounding yes. So, today we're diving headfirst into the wild world of money-making during inflation. You know, that sneaky beast that silently swells prices while leaving your wallet gasping for air. Now, we're about to unveil the juiciest secrets behind riding the inflation wave to financial glory that the money-savvy elites are using to turn inflation into their personal cash carnival. Let's ride this wave. Number 1. Tips. Alright, our first secret strategy that's making some sharp minds a pretty penny: Treasury inflation-protected securities, or as the cool kids call them, tips. These tips are like that friend who never lets you down. They're like the rock stars of the investment world, issued by none other than the US government. These treasury bonds are the ultimate shield against the dreaded decline in your cash's superpower, its purchasing ability. Here's the deal: as inflation decides to throw a party and prices start soaring like never before, tips don't just stand there like a deer in headlights. Nope, they're smarter than that. Instead of their yield going haywire like a roller coaster, tips adjust their price, aka principal amount, to keep up with the real value game. Remember that principal amount you tossed into the tips game? It's got bodyguards against inflation's mean tricks. As prices rise, your investment in these bonds blooms like a flower in spring, safeguarding your initial investment like the champion it is. So, if you're tired of watching your dollars shrink faster than a melting ice cream cone on a summer day, tips will just be your knight in shining armor. With inflation, tips still doing its victory lap way above the Federal Reserve's 2% target. Number 2. Debt. You might cringe at the mere thought of debt, but hold on to your hats because in the world of inflation, it can be your secret weapon. Brace yourselves for some mind-bending financial kung fu. Well, debt isn't always the villain we make it out to be, especially when inflation's throwing a party. Imagine this: if a dollar today is worth more than that same dollar tomorrow, you're in for a cunning game of financial chess. Let's break it down. If you borrow a dollar today and casually stroll back to return it tomorrow, you're essentially profiting. How? Well, remember that house you've been eyeing, priced at a hefty $350,000. Flashback 2 decades ago, and it was a steal at around $150,000. Now, that's the inflation right there. Each year, the dollar's real value dips like a thrill seeker on a roller coaster, turning yesterday's pocket change into today's treasure. When you plunge into the world of borrowing, tax benefits rain down like candy at a parade. Saving money while making money, it's a win-win wonderland. Now, here's the golden nugget. If interest rates are doing the limbo below the inflation bar, any borrowed bucks are practically shouting profit. Now you better understand that, in the realm of inflation, debt isn't a dragon to be slayed, but rather a trusted steed to ride into the sunset of profits. And remember, while we're throwing knowledge your way, this isn't financial advice, it's more like a financial roller coaster of information. So, let's move on to the next one. Number 3. Invest in real assets. So, the next trick that's been turning heads and wallets during this inflation fiesta is the savvy art of investing in real assets. You have to understand that currency isn't just a paper, it's a wild commodity that dances to the tunes of supply, demand, and a whole orchestra of other factors. Let me give you the theoretical definition of inflation. For example, there are 10 bucks floating around in the entire economy, facing off against a lineup of 10 fancy houses. In this scenario, each house is worth just a buck, creating a harmonious dollar-to-house ratio. When we throw an extra 10 bucks into the market, suddenly we've got $20 still chasing after those same 10 houses, and house prices double to $2 each. That's what we call inflation in action, my friends. Now, rewind the tape to 2 years back, a time when the economy was on the verge of a dramatic nosedive. What did our economic fairy godfather, the Fed, do? They swooped in with a trillions-injected rescue plan, splashing stimulus checks like confetti and scooped up corporate bonds like they were playing Monopoly. And guess what? A staggering 22% of those greenbacks circulating today were born in 2020. That's like inflating a balloon with a turbocharged air pump. If you've got even a hint of economics up your sleeve, you'd have seen inflation's coming. So, the econ nerds race to the real estate game, leaving cold cash in the dust. And who can blame them? With interest rates chilling at rock bottom, it was practically a no-brainer move. The actual inflation rate, whether it's 2.4% or 3.4%, doesn't hold the spotlight. What steals the show is how house prices sprinted ahead by a staggering 20%. Real estate champs didn't just buy houses, they grabbed mortgages too. Why? Because leverage plus crazy low interest rates equals epic money-making deals on steroids. So, think about it. Why settle for holding dollars that are deflating in value faster than a punctured balloon when you could plunk your hard-earned cash into a tangible fortress, real estate? Especially when interest rates decided to take a nosedive and hit rock bottom. Now, it's time to crank up the volume on your financial knowledge with another real gem. Number 4. Foreign exchange. We are going to unveil an international treasure hunt to keep your financial ship afloat. So, let's dive into the deep waters of foreign exchange to show you how some savvy folks are making those inflation blues vanish quicker than a magician's rabbit. Ever notice how inflation isn't just a one-size-fits-all phenomenon? It's like a global game of financial whack-a-mole. Different countries spin their own inflation tales, dictated by factors like economic twists, government moves, and supply-demand market vibes. Do you remember the hyperinflation of the 1970s? The US was wrestling with inflation numbers that could give you vertigo. But guess who was sipping pina coladas while inflation kept its distance? A tiny lion-hearted island named Singapore was skillfully taming its inflation beast and showcasing the power of diverse global investments. When your domestic currency is playing hide and seek due to inflation, foreign currencies might just be the crafty foxes that stay out in the open. They often hold their ground better, acting as a shield against the money-munching monster that is inflation. But it's not just about currency showdowns, it's about gaining access to far-off lands where industries are doing the tango while others back home are stuck in the quicksand of inflation. Now, let's jump into our next valuable secret. Get ready for the last crown jewel of money-making in times of inflation. Number 5. Stocks. Prepare to meet my personal favorite contender in the ring. Now, I know crypto might have been flexing its muscles with those jaw-dropping 1000% hikes, but let's be real, that roller coaster ride can give you more anxiety than your grandma's driving. But stocks, they're the steady marathon runners of the financial world, less flashy but so stable. From July 2020 to July 2021, the S&P 500 struts its stuff with a jaw-dropping 40% growth. Yeah, you heard me right, 40%. Think about it. You're not just throwing your money into the stock market, you're basically giving it a VIP ticket to the entire US economy. Why? Because when you buy a stock, you're snatching up a slice of a business, a little chunk of the profit pie. Now, when the economy's flowing with cash like a chocolate river, that business you own a slice of, it's swelling in value right along with your bank account. And the best part, the cash flooding the market is usually spent on everyday necessities and those oh-so-tempting wants. Guess what that means? Businesses get turbocharged, and your stock value skyrockets, leaving inflation in the dust like a forgotten old shoe. You're not just keeping up with the rising tide, you're riding it on a majestic unicorn. But that's not all. These corporate giants have been playing the financial game masterfully. They've snagged billions of dollars in dirt-cheap loans and grown like Jack's beanstalk. And now, as the world punches the time clock again, economies are reopening and wallets are getting flung wide open. And guess what? These businesses are ready to boom like fireworks on the 4th of July. The golden key here is to park your money in assets that are practically armored against inflation's wild winds. Ever notice the rich and powerful don't have piles of cash lying around? Well, they keep just a teeny fraction of liquid for rainy days. Think about it. The world's richest cats are loaded because they've got their paws dipped in the businesses they've crafted. Alright, let's face the hard fact. Inflation is no mythical creature. It's a real-life juggernaut hungry for financial disruption. But not to worry, because you're not just equipped with knowledge, you're armed with an arsenal of strategies. These strategies aren't mere concepts. They're your treasure map to a future where your money not only survives, but flourishes. So, take this beacon of knowledge, illuminate your path, and embark on your journey. Convert your financial vessel into a beacon of triumph, unshaken by inflation's turbulence. It's your time to make your money perform a victory dance, stealing the spotlight even from inflation's clutches. And before you go, let's wrap up with one final thought. What hurdles do you anticipate when it comes to outsmarting inflation? Don't keep those thoughts to yourself. Drop your pearls of wisdom, queries, and tales of victory in the comments below, because your journey fuels our passion for sharing. Smash that subscribe button and flick the notification switch so you don't miss our next thrilling financial escapade. And remember, this isn't just financial advice, it's the blueprint to your financial ascendancy. See you next time.